Also breaking today, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announcing the release of millions more files related to Jeffrey Epstein.
Today's document release includes Trump's name many times, but there is a note that says some of the claims were submitted to the FBI before the 2020 election, and of the documents released thus far, none have anything criminally damaging involving President Trump.
Like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. I love you guys. God bless America. Let's get into this. We got to talk about the Epstein files. I've recruited my crew to give me backup on this because they're doing the research on the other end, and we got to kind of talk this through. Let's go to the first video that I saw of an articulation of what is being presented. Before we get there, let me give you my expression on this whole Epstein thing. I personally think it's a whole bunch of bull shenanigans. It's a distraction. How we don't see or acknowledge or know that it's a distraction at this point is beyond me. It's a distraction. Most people in America couldn't give a flying flip what Epstein did because ain't nobody going to jail over none of this other stuff. And if they were going to go to jail, they'd already been in jail. Most people are worried about the stock market, worried about their finances, worried about raising their kids. They got all this other stuff to worry about. I just hope that conservatives will indulge in the idea that we should not be putting too much weight on the Epstein files because it's completely pointless. Donald Trump said this, and I realize it after you hear what all is going on, is that they're literally leveraging these files to accuse people who may not have even done anything wrong. Some people may have done something wrong. They need to go to hell. But there's others that anonymous accusations, people that have been proven untrustworthy, are not trustworthy, but that they're lying. People that are anonymous or whatever you can, all these things, making all these accusations, and then people are going to take that and use that as ammunition against people that may have actually done nothing wrong. It's a sham. I want to talk to you guys about Ridge because it's honestly one of the most practical upgrades that I made. Before Ridge, I was carrying one of those bulky, worn-out leather wallets, overstuffed, the kind that you tolerate because you've had it forever, not because you actually like it. Ridge fixes that immediately. Their wallet has a clean, modern design that's incredibly slim, but still holds up to 12 cards, plus cash without the bulk. It sits flat, it feels balanced, and disappears in your pocket exactly how a wallet should work. The craftsmanship is solid. Ridge wallets are made from premium material like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. With over 50 colors and styles, which my favorite is the American flag, there's something that actually fits your taste. Every Ridge wallet has RFID blocking technology to protect against digital theft, and it's backed by a lifetime warranty. With over 100,000 five-star reviews, the quality speaks for itself. And Ridge doesn't stop at wallets. They make premium everyday carry gear like key cases, rings, and travel accessories, even a AirTag attachment, so you always know where your wallet is. Here's the offer for a limited time. My listeners can get 10% off by going to ridge.com or using code Tatum at the checkout. That's ridge.com, code Tatum. After you purchase, Ridge will ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show by letting them know that I sent you. Again, ridge.com and use code Tatum for 10% off. Here's the dump from Todd Blanche. I think his name. Roll the clip.
The categories of documents withheld include those permitted under the Act to be withheld. Files that contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal and medical files, and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Any depiction of CSAM or child pornography was obviously excluded. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. And finally, anything that depicts or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury, also not produced.
Time out. I want you to pay attention to what he said. Anything that could compromise a federal investigation was not included in the file. What does that mean? that means that everything that's included in the file is not currently under investigation, and there is no reason that any of the information is pertinent enough to detract from an open investigation. So I hope that you internalize that, because whatever you read, whether it's against a Democrat or Republican, it don't matter, because they're not even investigating this stuff. There is no evidence that anything that you read, even if it's against Bill Clinton, is substantial enough that they're actively investigating it on the federal level. Continue.
Although the act allows for withholding for items necessary to keep secret in the interest of national security or foreign policy, no files are being withheld or redacted on that basis. Further, as we previously stated in our December 19th letter of last year, the department withheld or redacted files covered by various privileges, as we always do, including deliberative process privilege, work product privilege, and attorney-client privilege. As you all know, under the Act, the department must subsequently submit to the House and Senate committees on the judiciary a report listing all categories of records released and withheld, a summary of redactions made, including the legal basis for such redactions, and a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the Act. We will do so in due course as required under the Act. I want to talk for just a moment about the redactions that will be obvious to anyone who reviews the materials that we just produced today. In addition to the documentary redactions, which includes personal identifying information, victim information, and other privileges, there is extensive redactions to images and videos. To protect victims, we redacted every woman depicted in any image or video, with the exception of Ms. Maxwell. We did not redact images of any men, unless it was impossible to redact the woman without also redacting the man. To this end, though, and to ensure transparency, if any member of Congress wishes to review any portions of the responsive production in any unredacted form, they're welcome to make arrangements with the department to do so, and we're happy to do that.
Now, to me, watching this appears to me to be extremely transparent. But we witnessed something while we were prepping for the show that needs explanation. That's all I'm saying. Do I think Donald Trump is implicated in any of this in any serious way? F no. Why do I say that? Not because I'm somehow loyal to Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was involved in criminal behavior, I would watch him get put in jail. I would celebrate him going to jail. If Donald Trump is messing with little kids, minors, abusing people, anything criminal, then I will make a shirt celebrating Donald Trump going to jail. I do not believe Donald Trump is involved in any of this crazy stuff. Let me tell you why clearly. And this is something that I wish that conservatives and Republicans would acknowledge. If Donald Trump was involved in anything criminal that was prosecutable, they would have put his on the stake when he was running for office for the third time. They would have put him on the stake, and he would have lost the election. They would have indicted him. They indicted Trump and tried to put him in jail for stuff he didn't even do. Fake. Do you think if they had evidence of Donald Trump doing stuff with kids or Epstein that they wouldn't put it out? Come on, people. It's a distraction. But let's talk about what we saw earlier, because it shocked me that there were some accusations against Donald Trump and a 13-year-old, which obviously wasn't substantiated, but it ended up being removed from the document that was released, right? Let me go to Joe. What you got, Joe?
Yeah, Brandon, after taking a pretty close look and having ChatGPT verify the transcript and give us a summary, this is the summary from ChatGPT. It reads like this. This transcript is an internal FBI email chain discussing NTOC, National Threat Operations Center tips related to allegations involving Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Donald Trump, among other high-profile figures. It compiles multiple complaints and secondhand reports alleging historical sexual abuse, sex trafficking, and exploitation of minors at parties and locations linked to Epstein and Trump. This document makes important notes that many reports are unverified, secondhand, or anonymous. Several complaints were contacted unsuccessfully, deemed not credible, or provided no corroborating evidence. Some tips were routed to other offices or hotlines, and others had no follow-up due to the lack of contact information or deceased alleged victim. The list was shared to support journalistic interviews regarding allegations involving the Alexander brothers and others. Overall, it's a compilation of allegations of tip dispositions, not findings or substantiated conclusions. We do also find it important to understand the context of when we looked at the file, it did note the complaints that were written out of events that supposedly happened 35 years ago, acknowledged Trump as President Trump. So these interviews seem to have happened recently.
Joe, I want the people to understand this real quick from what Joe was saying. If this was an accusation against Trump, I mean, I'm just saying, like a verifiable accusation against Trump, in my opinion. And we're going to read what the accusation was. Before I get there, what was the accusation against Trump, real quick?
The accusation against Trump, we do want to give a viewer discretion warning. There are some pretty distressing things in this complaint. It reads like this. Redacted reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein.
Okay, so we have that accusation, and then there's a note of a response to the accusation about a follow-up to the complainant. All right, Joe, read that to us.
The response from whoever wrote the document said, they spoke with the caller who identified Redacted as friend. The lead was sent to Washington office to conduct interview. And then a couple more complaints down. The complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate Redacted. Another response for another complaint. 2 voicemails left, no response received.
Now, when does it give a date when these calls happen?
No, sir.
Because this is important, right? It was deemed a person who was not substantiated in their claim. It appeared that it was a phone call, which means that somebody currently called in to identify Trump, President Trump, for something that allegedly happened 35 years ago with no evidence. I'm telling you guys, Donald Trump was on to something. I know he sounds like a mad, crazy scientist every now and again, but like Donald Trump specifically said, the Democrats are trying to plant stuff and make things to be something that they're not so, and try to present it to the public to gaslight you. There is no reason whatsoever that anybody should believe that it's legitimized when a person calls currently while Trump is in office to report something that happened with no evidence, no track record, no police reporting, that 35 years ago. That was almost before I was born. I'm only 38. 35 years ago was my whole life ago. Somebody currently called in mentioning Donald Trump as president. That means that the complaint had to have come in either from 2016 to 2020 or for 2024, essentially, until now. Does that sound like something that's legitimately investigative worthy? And I would answer, the answer is no. So something did happen, Joe. Can you tell us what happened? Because that accusation that you just read was in the document. We downloaded it, and then something happened to it.
Yes, so this is the official document from the justice.gov. And so 2 important things to note. The first important thing was to view this document, it required age verification of being 18 or older. Then the second thing is quickly after we downloaded this document, it seems like the website crashed or the document was removed. We do have confirmation now that the document is now available yet again, but there was a short time when the document was inaccessible.
Okay, perfect. I was wondering were they going to try to play the okie doke, and my response to that is that whoever released the documents, if that scenario was incorrect, should get fired. Whoever released the documents then tried to redact the document or take it out of the document should be fired. Now, there could have been a situation where somebody could have hacked the document to try to remove defamatory things against Trump. That on our side, somebody could have done that. But I will say this, because I already know of a social media influencer right now, and I'm not going to say their name, that's going to jump on this story and call Donald Trump a pedophile. I already know of that person. I can see their podcast right now in my mind saying that Donald Trump is a pedo. When in reality, I think it's bullcrap. Just like Justice Kavanaugh, when he was running, that chick said from 38 years ago, she was at a party with him and he didn't even do nothing but push himself on her. That's what she said. She didn't even say it was any attempt to do anything other than him trying to kiss her or something. And she comes out years later crying in front of Congress that he did something to her, can't remember nothing about nothing that happened. And they just do this over and over because by the time you realize it's a bunch of baloney, it had made its rounds in the world, and the left is going to act like it's real no matter what proof evidence or evidence that is not real is presented to them. It doesn't matter. So if we get more information about the Epstein files, I'll let you know. I just wanted to talk about that one instant because that's the one that's going on all over the internet.